Welcome back to the City Notes interview series. Today, we will be interviewing Chief Michael Fleming, Chief of the Nicholasville Police Department. So, Chief, I have to appreciate you coming in and just thank you for your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So we've got a couple things, Shanna, just to start off around your background. So are you able to share a little bit about your background and really what inspired you to pursue a career in public service?
Yeah, so just growing up, always wanted to be a police officer. My parents said that I started talking about it when I was 3 years old and never wavered from the profession I wanted to go into. So I went to Marshall University, studied criminal justice there, graduated in 2001, joined the Kentucky Police Corps, which was a program Bill Clinton put in through the COPS program, and it allowed the ability to put more educated police officers in rural America. And so I had to choose an agency that had under 100 officers. And at the time, Chief Barry Waldrop was here, and he sold me on the agency, and I've been here ever since on my 24th year. So I made my way up through the ranks, all the way from patrol. I spent the majority of my career on patrol, and then in 2017 moved into an administrative position as a captain, dealing mostly with open records and the logistics it takes to run a police department, which I think set me up nicely for the position I'm in now.
And along those same lines, are there any mentors or key figures that have really helped shape your path in law enforcement?
You know, none of my family was in law enforcement, so there was no one there. But along the way here at the Nicholasville Police Department, definitely Barry Waldrop. And I think it was 2006, I had a conversation with him about being chief was my goal. And he told me to make sure I had my time in, that I could retire before becoming chief. That way I could make decisions that were best for the police department and not politically motivated. So I did that. I was eligible for retirement 3 years ago and became chief 2 years ago. So that worked out good. And then my predecessor, Chief Todd Justice, he taught me everything I needed to know, really prepared me well. And so I have to credit him for making sure that I was ready to take on this role.
Are there any challenges or anything that you did not foresee going into this position that you've had to learn and really kind of overcome?
I think that the biggest challenge is dealing, of course, with people. You have not only juggling the personnel that work for you and making sure that you're not only keeping their morale high and making sure that they're happy and satisfied with the job that they're doing, then also the community, balancing that, making sure that their needs are met. And then, of course, the politicians who are my bosses. You kind of have to make everyone happy, and that's the biggest challenge.
Kind of getting right into the community safety and local issues. Are there any common public safety concerns that you're hearing frequently from Nicholasville residents right now?
The biggest one that we have right now are scams. We get scams from phone calls, text messages, emails. People are being bombarded with these messages that are either threatening or saying, hey, if you don't send us money, then you're going to go to jail, those types of things. And so that's the biggest thing. And we just remind people that police departments will never call you or text you and tell you to go get Bitcoin or go get you some gift cards for us. That's not the way warrants are handled and things like that. So not to fall for these scams. And if you ever have a question before sending money or going to your bank account, reach out to us and we can tell you if we've seen this sort of thing and make sure that you're not going to fall into a trap.
Yeah, I would imagine that most of the trouble with that is the educating process and just making people aware of what the trends are that come out. Based around coordinating emergency response, how do you deal with that, with maintaining and coordinating other city services that may be needed to help handle an issue?
Really, in everything that I do, it's all about relationships. We create such a great relationship with other departments, fire department, the sheriff's office. The current sheriff used to work here, retired from our agency, so our relationship is great. The school system, we have, I think, one of the best relationships between law enforcement and the school system in the state, which just allows us to not only have seamless response to incidents, but then when an incident does occur, we can come to the table and we can be honest about what went well, what didn't go well, without getting feelings hurt, and work towards what's best for the community and how we can better respond to certain incidents.
Absolutely. And in that answer, you alluded to, the school system. What is your department's relationship like with the schools in Nicholasville?
Yeah, so currently we have 9 school resource officers assigned to different schools. We just now promoted one of those 9 people to the rank of sergeant so that we have a supervisor within that unit, which we've never had before. We think this is going to help streamline some things, help communication, and make sure that all of our schools are being served in the same way. We want there to be that consistency. Through this process, we've also rewritten the memorandum of understanding between the county and the schools and us, which can lead to even a deputy sheriff joining us in one of the schools in an SRO position. But that officer would still fall under our supervisor, just like the Wilmore officer that serves Wilmore Elementary is going to fall under our supervisor as well, so that, again, there's that cohesiveness of service among all the schools. And then other than that, just the relationship we have with the superintendent, Sarah Crum, and her director of safety, Matt Simpson. I don't think there's a day that goes by that we don't talk to each other, make sure that things are going well, make sure that there aren't any needs that need to be met, and addressing issues.
What does the future of that program look like, and what do you guys try to do to help educate the youth and also, crime prevention and good decision making among those kids in those schools?
The direction of the program, we're hoping to increase the number of SROs over the next several years so that there's an SRO in every one of our schools. Right now, some of the SROs have double duty and are servicing 2 different schools on a campus, such as Rosenwald Elementary School is being serviced by the West Jessamine Middle School SRO. So we would really like to see each school have their own SRO. As far as educating kids, we have a DARE program where we teach elementary school kids, the 5th graders specifically, about making good decisions. DARE has evolved from just dealing with drugs and alcohol to much more than that. It talks about decision making and holding each other accountable and taking responsibility for your actions, things like that. So that's something that we believe is a really good program in Jessamine County, and we get a lot of support for that. And then this summer, we did a brand new program where we took students from the schools. They were handpicked by SROs that they knew maybe they weren't from the great family life, or they had disciplinary issues at school, or there could have been other needs that we felt that they could benefit from this camp that we put on. So we put on a middle school camp and a high school camp the last 2 weeks, which was the first 2 weeks in June. And we were teaching these kids everything from survival skills to cooking classes. We taught them about small engine repair, how to change a tire. We had a UK credit union came in and did a financial piece for them. So just teaching these kids some really life skills is what we wanted, for it to be a little bit about police, building that relationships with the police officers, but more life skills that any one of them could use, whether they choose a career in law enforcement or not.
I would imagine those SROs are pretty big role models as well for a lot of those kids. And so I would imagine that teaching them those life skills, it comes from a different place, hearing that from those SROs.
Yeah, and it was nice because all the SROs were able to come together for this camp, plus our community services officers and even the SRO from Wilmore came, and they all worked together on this camp, and it was just phenomenal 2 weeks.
You talked about the DARE a little bit. Are you going to tell us a little bit about the Neon Bike Ride and Exchange?
Yeah, so the Neon Bike Exchange is a thing that we started last year where kids can come and trade in their old bikes for newer bikes. Well, not newer bikes, but bikes that would fit them better as they outgrow their bikes. And last year we handed out over 250 bikes. It was just an amazing thing, kind of teach some bike safety along with it. And so it was a great turnout last year. This year, we're going to do that again October 3rd up at City County Park. And it's actually in memory of the Community Services Officer, Anthony Ruggiero, who we lost earlier this year.
And I know that the Mayor's Golf Scramble as well, the proceeds to that went to his family as well.
Yes.
Is there anything outreach initiative-wise that we haven't discussed that you're kind of excited about right now?
Yeah, just over the last year, we've implemented the social worker and victims advocate positions with the police department, and they've been highly successful. Social worker, she's handled over 200 calls involving individuals and families dealing with a wide range of crises, everything from suicide to drug addiction, trauma, things like that. She helps with juvenile behavior issues, helping parents deal with some of that, deals with the homelessness issue in Nicholasville. And then she can also help with some of the grief and loss and get people kind of connected with counselors other places. So she has a wide range of resources to kind of hand out to people and educate people on mental health.
I know that you've also previously talked about innovations, kind of like drones that you guys use in your daily operations. Are you able to speak to how the police department uses those and the issues that it's currently handling?
Yeah, so the drone program, it's relatively new, and we were able to purchase the drones through a grant from Norfolk Southern Railroad, and so it was actually free to us. But the drone program is really nice for especially smaller departments that can't afford to run a helicopter, because that's pretty big for a community our size. But the drone allows us to put eyes in the sky for different purposes. One of the most important is when we have missing kids, maybe in a wood line or something like that, we can quickly find these kids and not be searching for hours with tons of manpower. But we can put that up, look for heat signatures, and go to those points. Also, we've used it for our drug unit, just surveilling different stops or drug buys. We actually were able to get on video a really nice case of these dealers that came down from the Cleveland area, and they had a large quantity of drugs on them. And when they fled from the police, the drone actually captured them throwing the drugs out the window. And so it really tied the court case up with a pretty ribbon, and they're serving time now. So that drone, just for a lot of different purposes, is useful, gets eyes where we can't normally get eyes at. And we've got 6 pilots that we sent, and they're sworn officers who we sent through the school, and they're now licensed pilots. So,
especially when resources can be scattered thin with everything going on, you're able to use those to kind of expedite those processes. Along recruitment and kind of just police culture as well, are you guys currently hiring? And if so, what should potential applicants know about wanting to work for the Nicholasville Police Department?
Yeah, we're definitely in a hiring process right now. We're looking for about 7 to 8 officers to fill some vacancies that are coming up this next fiscal year in July. The city commission had approved 3 years ago that about 2 years ago, that we would be able to get 12 more positions over the course of 3 years. And so starting in July, that's the 3rd year. And so we're going to finish that out with 6 new positions. And then I've still got 2 other openings from my old list. So, but as we're hiring, we think we're the best. We're well respected within the community. We have great community support. We're like a family here, holding our officers to high standards, but at the same time, knowing that they're human and they've got families and their own stresses and issues. Right now we're working on a mental health grant to help with trauma that police officers see and help them to be able to navigate those issues. So we're all about supporting our employees, making sure that they're healthy, making sure that they're supported in a way that they can then go out and serve the community to the best of their ability.
Yeah, you basically just jumped my next question there. My next question was to me, what do you do to support officer wellness and morale? So if there's anything else that you want to speak upon with that.
Other than the mental health grant that we're working on, we also do what's called Fit Force, which is having officers do the POP standard, which is physical fitness standard for the state. And they can come out voluntarily and do that. We provide them, you get a free t-shirt when you participate, and then I'll buy them a pair of boots if they do both the spring and the fall session, which boots can get expensive, so we'll do that. On top of that, when I became chief, I implemented the ability for them to work out on duty, so they can do that, take an hour out of their 12-hour shift, work out as long as manpower allows, and there's nothing huge going on that prevents that. But a lot of officers take advantage of that. I think that it's important that our officers stay physically fit to be able to serve the community in the way that you would hope to be served. You don't want a weak or out of shape officer trying to come and help you in a situation. You want someone that can actually handle themselves. And so a lot of officers and firemen, they die prematurely of heart attacks and things like that. So we want to prevent that. We want to make sure that not only are they physically healthy, but they're also mentally healthy, and so we can keep them around for a long time.
Is there a way that you encourage officers to really stay engaged with the people that they serve and really just the residents of Nicholasville as a whole?
The biggest way we do that is just through all of the different programs that we do. We're really big on the community-oriented policing, so we encourage our officers to go to the parks and pick up a basketball and play basketball with the kids. We've got officers that have gone to Lake Mingo and taught kids how to fish, things like that. First week in August, we've got what's called National Night Out, and it's a nationwide program. We're going to hold it at Lake Mingo this year. We've got a lot of great things coming to that night. We've reserved a large rock climbing wall. It's going to be there and some inflatables, and we're partnering with some of the churches to just bring a lot of fun activities. And we'll be over there near the splash pad that night, but it's going to be a big event, and it's just to come out and have fun. No other agendas, just have fun and meet kids and let them form a relationship with officers. So, but it's events like that, events like our Dare car show that's coming up this weekend, that is just ways for us to keep connecting. At the car show, you're going to be able to dunk police officers that are in uniform, dunk them in the dunking booth. So it's just a way to have fun and connect in a different way than our normal course of duty of having to protect people and put people in jail, unfortunately.
It's that fun side of law enforcement that you don't normally get to see, but it's also required for, handling communities and that community outreach. Flipping gears here a little bit, I've seen previously that there's construction of the department's non-lethal shoot house. Are you able to kind of provide some background and talk to us about how it's being used for force-on-force and de-escalation?
Yeah, so this is a project that my firearms staff brought to me, and Lexington has one, the FBI has one, but this is just a facility that we're going to use to give officers more training. We want our officers to be the highest trained law enforcement people in the profession. We want them to be able to make good decisions. And this shoot house is not just for target practice, because it is a non-lethal shoot house, but it's for decision making. It's for being able to go into different situations, de-escalate situations, and allow officers to have that real life experience. We can rearrange walls in there and doorways so that it's almost like a different house that they're going into each time. They'll have the unexpected things go on, but it just helps increase their decision-making power.
I feel like that's the general theme of this interview, too, is creating resources that are going to allow police officers to be clear-minded and to be quick thinking, as well as not having to worry about everything else they have going on in their life. Is there any ongoing skills like de-escalation and communications that are really emphasized and are extremely important, especially in the city of Nicholasville?
Well, I think that community-wide and really nationwide, mental health has become a huge thing. It's really become an epidemic. And so being able to equip our officers with the ability to talk to people in a way that shows empathy, but also give them some skills to deal with people that are dealing with those types of crises. And that's what's important. And that's also why we implement the social worker program, because that social worker can respond with our officers. And she may have tools that they don't have. And, they provide her protection, but she's able to really get to the level that that person is on and make sure that we are able to resolve any issues without it escalating to any sort of force or anything like that. So, and that's what's important. We want everyone to go home safely and without injury and things like that. But that really is the biggest thing with the community right now, is that mental health, substance abuse, things like that, and just giving those officers the tool to deal with it.
Really like kind of the last category that I've got here is it's the looking ahead or kind of just future updates. So is there anything that's a top priority for your department over the next 6 to 12 months?
Next 6 to 12 months, highest priority is filling those remaining 7 to 8 positions so that we can do some extra things, like hopefully fill a couple of those SRO positions. Got some positions in my drug unit that I need to fill, and my community services division that I'd like to fill. So the only way to do that is to make sure that patrol is well staffed, and we don't like take away from patrol because they're the backbone of the agency. But then once they're to a point that they're comfortable enough that I can pull 1 or 2 people, then we put those people in specialized positions. And it gives the officers something to look forward to, that growth, that experience of being able to move into another division. That's what a lot of people look for, is that advancement and something different than working the beat.
For anybody who is listening to this, is there anywhere where you would point them if they are thinking that this would be a correct fit for them?
Yeah, website, you can get on there and download an application, see a whole lot about us. Follow our Facebook page. We put a lot of what do we do on a daily and weekly basis. Nice to be able to see kind of what we're made of and what we're into. Or you can always just come by the police department and talk to any of the command staff members.
And then really just my last question for this interview, is there one thing happening behind the scenes that you think the city of Nicholasville and residents of the community would be proud to hear about?
I think behind the scenes, it's just the work that we put towards making sure that the officers are best equipped to deal with the things that go on in the city. And, we work tirelessly to make sure that our positions are filled, that we're retaining officers, that they're well trained, and that they have the best equipment that they need to do the job. A lot of people talk about budget and things like that and where their dollars are going, but I've also got officers that are assigned to federal task force. And so we get a lot of drug money in that way. And a lot of those new things that you all see, such as our new SRT van, and I have a new park patrol vehicle coming for the officer that does park patrol. But all that's been paid for with drug money and is not coming out of budget money. So it's just nice that I've got that resource because we can give our officers the best of the best equipment. It's not coming at a cost to the taxpayer. And then the only other thing behind the scenes is just the relationship we have with our city commission and other agencies around. I like to harp on it. It's all about relationships, no matter what facet we're in. If you can form the relationships, then anything can succeed.
Especially law enforcement, they're professional communicators, so that's what you have to have behind the scenes. Well, Chief, I think this is all the time that we have, so I just want to first off just thank you for having this conversation with us.
Well, thanks for having me.